And we have with us Mr. Daniel Simmons, who's the Director of Regulatory and State Affairs for the Institute for Energy Research. We have Dr. Andrew Light, Senior Fellow, Center for American Progress Action Fund, Associate Director, Institute for Philosophy and Public Policy at George Mason University. We have Ms. Eliza Derby, Senior Program Officer, Windrock International, a coordinator for the Partnership for Clean Indoor Air. And we have Dr. David Kreitzer, Research Fellow in Energy Economics and Climate Change at the Heritage Foundation. So I'd like to welcome all four of you to the committee. We appreciate very much your taking time to join us to discuss H.R. 4255 and your views on the legislation. And Mr. Simmons, we'd like to start with you, and you'll recognize for 5 minutes for your opening statement.
My name is Daniel Simmons. I'm the Director of Regulatory Affairs at the Institute for Energy Research. It is difficult for me to see the value of EPA providing taxpayer-funded grants to organizations and governments outside the United States for things such as good governance capacity building in Jordan or regulatory dialogue on landfill gas in Brazil. Part of the reason the United States is now over $16 trillion in debt is because the federal government has little spending discipline. Compared to $16 trillion, these grants are small, but the grants are systematic of out-of-control spending by the federal government. When individuals have money and debt problems, the common sense solution is to cut back on unnecessary spending. It is only fair to ask the federal government to do the same. Taxpayer dollars should be spent on projects that have an obvious benefit to the American people, and these foreign grants do little, if anything, to benefit Americans. If EPA would like to improve environmental quality at home and abroad, a far more productive approach would be to promote environmental improvements through economic growth. Years of research shows that economic growth promotes environmental protection. As noted previously, Section 103 does not provide explicit authority for EPA to award these grants to foreign entities, only to establish a national research and development program. But Section 103 also does not provide an explicit limitation, and therefore EPA for years has been awarding these sorts of grants. When faced with these questions, I would hope that EPA would look to the federal regulatory philosophy that is laid out in Executive Order 12866, which was originally signed by the Clinton administration and reaffirmed by the Bush administration, and again reaffirmed by the Obama administration. And in pertinent part, the executive order says that federal agencies should only should promulgate only such regulations as are required by law or necessary to interpret the law, or made necessary by compelling public need. And it is difficult to see for these grants that they are required by law or necessary, or what the compelling public need is, at least for American citizens. And these grants there is a large number of them that are definitely of dubious value for Americans. For example, on March 22nd of this year, EPA awarded a grant with the following description: the goal of this project is to increase environmental public participation through a pilot project in Dominican Republic. Alianza will work with stakeholders and appropriate governmental authorities to ensure the pilot project expected results are successfully accomplished. Now, I have no idea what in the world it means to increase environmental public participation and what value that is for the American people. Pollution may cross, may cross boundaries, but this isn't about that. This is about, quote, increasing environmental public participation. And if EPA wants to promote environmental protection, economic growth is a far better alternative. But as we've seen from EPA, a number of the regulations they've been promoting lately does not promote environmental, does not provide environmental growth, does not promote economic growth. One example is the Mercury and Air Toxic Standards Rule. The point of this rule, allegedly, is to reduce mercury. However, the rule costs $10 billion a year, according to EPA, and results in a maximum, according to EPA, of $6 billion in benefits from the reduction of mercury. In other words, this is a net cost to the American economy and, honestly, the economy of the world of $10 billion a year. You can buy a lot of anaerobic digesters in China or Brazil or where have you with $10 billion. And the mercury and air toxic standards is just one example, but it is representative of EPA's current regulatory philosophy. Far more benefits could be achieved, both environmental and economic, if EPA were more circumspect in its regulation. The American people want Congress to balance the budget and get America's fiscal house in order. One key to doing this is to reduce spending on things that are obviously unnecessary. It's not obvious what the value is to the American people of international grants issued under the Clean Air Act, Section 103. Thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons. And Dr. Light, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir.